Honestly, there's only one thing that's worse than films trying to understand video games, and it's films trying to integrate YouTube.
Yeah, they don't get it.
It is just the worst thing.
Separate entity.
I feel like whenever that happens, and it almost happened, obviously, with them having Ninja and other YouTubers on. Insert a video of the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, where they're just absolutely fucking melting.
You can't see us, but he's quite calm, and I'm notably nervous.
On edge.
Because this week is Free Guy, a film of which I received rather well, and he just wasn't happy, wasn't really that bothered by it. So, which usually means we're going to, as we go through this podcast, my mind is I'm either going to stand stubborn and really like it,
Or you're going to cave in.
or I'm just going to cave at every point made.
Yeah.
And I'm very concerned it's going to be the latter, because it's more often the latter. Because as soon as I point it out, I can't not see it. But there's been a few occasions where I'm like, you just don't like a movie and I like it.
Does happen.
So I like to think I do have my own opinion, but
I feel like I'm going to be producing some lawyer-esque arguments.
Oh, okay.
Against, in this case, the people versus Free Guy.
Yeah, the people very much being a representation of the people, and just no, you're the people in this, actually, wouldn't you?
That's what I mean. Yeah.
So I just meant the Free Guy being just
the movie.
Yeah, but if I'm in defense
so it's
of
me.
them,
It's me versus the movie.
but imagine you're the big professional good lawyer, and where you're saying you're going to be lawyer-esque arguments, mine are going to be, yeah, but I like this. That was good, right?
Yeah, it's not going to be a strong. No, you're on the side of Free Guy.
Yeah, I know.
So as the defense.
Defense. It's going to be the defense. The defense is going to be weak as usual. Prosecution is going to be the higher paid lawyer.
So pre-opening statements. I'm just going to go through a quick summary of
your feelings.
No, the actual premise of Free Guy, just in case. Just in case. I mean, I don't think it's done particularly well at the box office. So, I mean, probably describing it to people who may or may not have seen it is probably a good idea. Yeah, whereas with other films, I feel like, you see enough from, the trailers, and now it's been enough time, say for, Marvel films, you can kind of get the gist, or...
Yeah.
But, so
I feel like even in this description, I'm just going to pause it. There's going to be some... Yeah, I feel like even in this description, there's gonna be some note where my brain's gonna go, yep, fuck.
So with Free Guy, it starts off quite reminiscent of the Lego Movie, which has been pointed out to me by a couple of people, and he basically does play Chris Pratt's character in the Lego Movie. A man just kind of. Just a drone type person to kind of appeal to the everyman. But in this case, Ryan Reynolds lives in Grand Theft Auto Online, or a clone thereof.
Yeah.
Or Hollywood's understanding thereof. And, it's not like... Obviously, it was not going to be the most, dense of plots. But... it does really hit the kind of similar few beats, like I said, as the Lego Movie.
Yeah.
And doesn't really, it's all just world building for about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
No real antagonist at this point.
The antagonist does come much later.
Yeah, it comes quite a lot later in the movie than you'd probably think. But, obviously to build the believability of the world and the outside world of this movie, they kind of took a little bit of time. And from what I can just recall, it's just, you've got Guy, played by Ryan Reynolds. You got his security cop, who's so long in the tooth that as soon as someone tries to rob the bank, he's just down on the floor. Well, both of them are, aren't they?
Yeah.
This is not their first rodeo at all.
It's just what they just had part of their daily routine, and it's like, but it's funny because they're like, that's funny.
Yeah.
The way they're happy about it, they're having the conversation, and they're like sitting and shit's just going off around them, really violent, but they're like really timid. I quite liked it. It is very Lego movie though.
And Ryan Reynolds is actually the majority of the characters in this movie, bar those in the real world, are playing NPCs, non-playable characters of a video game. Like I said, it's just like Grand Theft Auto Online, and that's like the basic premise up until we meet. I want to say Steve Harrington, but I don't know the actor's real name, and Jodie Comer.
But he's basically playing
Steve Harrington.
He's playing Steve Harrington, and I think the age kind of even works out.
No.
No.
What do you mean the age?
No, because he's supposed to be like 16 in. Oh no, okay, no, it's fair enough.
Yeah, but it's in the 80s.
It's like he's a kid.
That's now 40 years ago.
I know, but in Stranger Things, he's a kid, and this is like when he grew up and got a game. Yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it doesn't work out there.
They are just playing the same character.
He's the same character. It's grown up Steve Harrington.
Yeah. Well, you say grown up, like 3 years after college. Steve Harrington.
Yeah.
And with the introduction of Jodie Comer's character, where she plays her avatar, which is, they look exactly like the people in real life to a certain degree, but they don't in certain aspects.
Well, hers does at least.
Hers does. I guess just for like being able to recognize. They didn't go the Ready Player One route where it's like the avatar is different looking for most people. Yeah. I know with that they used like actual characters and like made up characters, so like a mix.
Yeah.
We'll get more onto Ready Player One. I've got some ammo for that as well, and so when Jodie Comer's character comes into it, Ryan Reynolds' Guy, something happens to him. He goes off script. You've spent 15-20 minutes of this movie showing people what his daily routine is.
Yeah, and it's just the same thing. He's got a catchphrase.
And they're just they're setting it up. For the reveal where he's can actually hold his own free will.
Because there's the NPCs and the sunglass people. I like the sunglasses people thing. I do like that.
I mean, it's a good way to just differentiate.
And
it's such a simple thing. But
you put the sunglasses on, then you're. I mean, thinking on it now, it doesn't make sense because I was expecting it that you put the sunglasses on, and it's a bit like a bit of a what's it called, Westworld thing, or Ready Player One setup. But it's. I've thought about this since the whole way when they jump to the game, the way it moves and connects and looks and stuff. Even though when they show you what the game looks like outside in the real world, they show that a few times. It's a bit like I don't know why she would have got such a connection to him and stuff like that because
he's pixels.
There have been some pretty intense, like emotional stuff like that seems happening when I played a video game, and you don't get that attached or engrossed to something. No. And if I was playing a video game and something, I was like repeating it as it went along and stuff. First, I wouldn't be repeating it as it go along because she was doing it as if she's walking along listening to it, but she wouldn't be walking along listening to it. She's just playing a game on a console. So that's already kind of breaks down a little bit there. It's not Ready Player One.
The barriers between them playing the game and the actions that happen, because they make the same actions and say the same things.
Yeah.
Like there's a barrier between playing a game and your avatar or your character doing certain things, and they even reference it in the film where Jodie Comer's like, "Oh, there isn't a button to kiss,"
Yeah.
and I'm just like, "Yeah, there's probably not like a button to do a lot of things that are happening in this video game."
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's about Ready Player One and this movie both having a disdain for video games whilst making video game films, and the fact that Hollywood will never get video games completely, and it will just always be at this juncture. But for the film, I'm gonna give it some credit. Like, Ryan Reynolds is just Ryan Reynolds, and like, he does obviously just play Ryan Reynolds most of the time, but there's a reason why he's got a little bit of longevity. We're not sick of him at this point.
It's because he's good at it.
It's because he's actually good at certain aspects of comedy, and it's his timing, delivery. Certain scenes they were funny, and it's genuinely probably just down to him.
And he can drop the drama when he needs to as well.
Oh yeah,
with the emotional attachment, any of the emotional. So we'll talk about this as the film goes on, but any of the emotional parts of the film, or the that's the best way I can think of it. Emotional parts of it, the most impactful ones come from him. It's almost one-sided. Him, even when she's sort of having them with him, it's mostly him. Oh my god, I'm turning on already.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize I was doing it.
So we'll do getting round to a short summary rather than a longer one before we get into parts of the film.
Yeah.
So once Ryan Reynolds, who, by accident, puts the sunglasses on and literally becomes Free Guy.
Yeah.
He kind of changes immediately, which it's just totally understandable. But there is like a little bit of like muddling between, like, later on in the movie, with the subplot that the reason why Steve Harrington and Jodie Comer are actually in this movie is because Jodie Comer is on a mission to find code from a previous video game that she and Steve Harrington made, but then Taika Waititi, who is the main villain, who bought the company that they were working for, making a different game. He used their code to make this video game without their consent.
Yeah.
That's the gist of the subplot.
Yeah.
Or actually, it's probably the main plot, if anything.
Somewhere along the lines, how Steve Harrington, we just call him Steve Harrington, got a job with them.
Yeah. I'm guessing with the merger, because they merged, I believe.
There was there was mention of that, wasn't it? But it was sort of like they don't get any credit for the actual game because they didn't use their code, but he did, and that sort of thing. So she's in it. She's in the game purely
to find evidence,
but is playing the game at the same time, sort of thing. But yeah.
And it's pretty much when we first meet her, it's kind of hinted at that she's been doing this for a while.
Yeah. They've got restraint. She turns up at his apartment. They've got restraining order, stuff like that. Yeah. So he's given up, but she's still trying to do it, sort of thing.
Yeah, but that's the plot for those three. That's including Taika Waititi, his character. But for Guy, it's he is living in this world. He doesn't exist anywhere else, but he acts like a human, and then we find out that he is part of an AI program that they developed for their previous game. Again, I'm talking Jodie Comer and Steve Harrington,
because they wanted their characters to learn and grow and stuff.
Yeah, they wanted their AI to be very sophisticated. In fact, it's probably like the most sophisticated AI ever, and it was just made by two out of university students that for a game,
trying to make a video game. They accidentally stumbled upon it.
They accidentally made the most advanced AI ever.
At its core, it's the whole like art versus corporation thing, isn't it? Like they were trying to make a good game for people to play,
and it's not even
artistic and wasn't like shoot and grab and that sort of thing. But then their game might not sell because the corporations just want to make a big load of money and shooting games and stuff like that. It's
not even 1% subtle that is the case, because their old game, the game that gets taken over and like they get bought out and like
Yeah.
it's basically looks like the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
And then this one, it's just again, it's just Grand Theft Auto. It's
Grand
just
Theft Auto
crime,
City.
and it's just drugs, and it's just people shooting each other and people just like doing heinous shit. And you're just like,
literally
it's so on the
society,
nose.
eh?
Yeah, I know, right? That was, again, I know it's a comedy, and it's not supposed to be memento. It's not supposed to be dense. It's too on the nose for me that I'm just like, I can't really take that too seriously.
Few too many when they do cut to other players as if like that, it's a few too many archetypes rather than.
Have you seen like that? This is what this is gonna get onto how Hollywood just will never understand video games. They still think it's like the late 70s, early 80s, and they think that there's still things like kind of on the floor, like power ups and stuff. Like they still think that like Super Mario, like kind of items and like iconography meshes with Grand Theft Auto, and I'm just like, that just sucks. And also, again, I don't know if you've seen Twitch streamers, but majority of them are like, you know, like kind of okay looking guys and stuff, and they're making a lot of money for
average people.
They just look like average people. It's like guys and girls, and you know, they're just, you know, they know what they're doing, and they make a presentation which looks good. You know, when they're streaming,
they usually all have their own apartments, jobs.
They make a lot of money, and
they live with their mothers either.
They're doing well, but literally in this, and exactly like Ready Player One, they're in their mum's basement, obviously, and they're sweaty and they're just eating Doritos, like the South Park guy. Hollywood's still taking advice from again, bad 80s movies about video games and that kind of stuff. And I'm a little bit like, we're over this in the 90s, you know, and especially today, because it's set today as well. I'm a little bit like, dude, if you look at the top Twitch streamers, they're all ridiculously good looking people.
Crazy.
Who are just really good at video games. Not all of them are ridiculously good, but quite a few. You're just like, I can tell why they get like views off the cuff. No real need for advertising or anything. It's because they're just, they know what they're doing. They're smart. They get that it's part of the presentation is them, so you have to look presentable and have like a nice background.
I was gonna say they have a professional setup and stuff as well. They're not just some guy eating Doritos, just like
the main streamer is the fucking guy who again is an archetype of Hollywood and not real life really, and like 80s movies. The guy who's the streamer is the quote unquote like nerdy ugly guy from Stranger Things.
Oh right, yeah.
And I'm just like, they just used the same guy in the. He's been typecast, and you're just like, this is a.
And his character is basically Channing Tatum,
who
is funny in those moments.
And you're just like, they haven't like moved on from 40 years of not understanding video games then. There was obviously a point where it was like not mainstream, and that's where they're getting this idea from. Yeah. But like that was 40, now nearly 50 years ago, and video games has moved on, but video games in films and TV hasn't moved on. And it's just ferociously evident in this film. The problem
is it's all hitting home bollocks. But the frustrating thing about that is even more from seeing the problems of it. I do still enjoy it. I think I could watch it, enjoy it. I found it funny. I did like that of it. But its main point is actually really relevant right now. Where
What's
it's
that?
whole that video, like we've had these conversations where video games have themselves become the corporation bit now, and where they felt like that one last haven for nerds making stuff for or people of interest making stuff for people of interest. In the last few years, like with things like Cyberpunk that being released too early, or unfinished or just DLC galore, like Lei Wulong not available on Tekken game until you list DLC, that sort of thing. That's really reverent, and that's the same as with this. That's what this film's about. They were literally, the whole point was that instead of gamers making games for gamers, it's just corporations making games now, and just trying to make a quick buck rather than trying to make art anymore.
See, I think that it was more about. I see your point, and you can interpret it that way, but I feel it was just. It was just corporations taking the piss out of taking advantage of the little guy.
Yeah.
And the little guy, the plucky upstart, getting revenge, like,
okay.
or in the end, your talent will shine through.
Yeah.
No matter how much a corporation wants to bury it.
Yeah, exactly. That was.
I don't think Ryan Reynolds or whoever's written this. Film has ever heard of downloadable content.
No.
Doesn't know what DLC stands for.
No.
So for you to be like, the rampant DLC and games being unfinished, although you can construe that as what they were going for, I think it was. I don't think they've heard of any of I don't think they understand that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anyone who really worked on this kind of has a grasp on how games are made.
Work. Oh, okay, fair enough.
I mean, aesthetically, I thought the film was good.
Yeah.
And some of the action was really good.
And the comedy is good too.
Some of it.
Anything with Ryan Reynolds in
it. But the funniest thing for me was when it was towards the end. So Taika Waititi deploys a copy of Guy. Who, because you can obviously stream games and stuff over time, he's getting better at the game, but he's like doing good. Whereas obviously it's a game about crime.
He becomes a character in the game that somehow makes it through to like media, and that bit. I was watching that bit and a bit like, I don't think that would make the news.
It's like the only thing I can kind of compare it to.
It would trend.
The thing I can compare it to is in the first couple of Spider-Man movies, the Sam Raimi ones, probably just the first one.
Yeah.
Where Spider-Man becomes famous, and it's like the montage of people being like, that Spider-Man guy, he's just like, he's all right. He's part of New York, like it has Vox
that would
Pops.
Make the news.
No, that would make the news, but that's what they've tried to do with this. They've tried to make it like, Guy, it would be like a medium to major celebrity. Whereas I'm just like...
Just trending, basically. He's trending.
You could... For love nor money, like, I've never seen a character on GTA Online because they're just NPCs.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they call him, like, Blue Shirt or something, don't they?
Blue Shirt guy, because they think he's a real person and he's going around doing all this good in a game where everyone's bad.
Yeah, it's about crime.
I guarantee you there is hundreds of people in GTA that are trying to do... be good guys in the bad. They've definitely had that idea. Like it's like I've seen YouTube videos of people playing Skyrim without killing anyone. It's like there are people that already do this. There's no way it makes the news. But so that was a bit of like, okay, well, I see what they're trying to do. But they literally fame level like, who is this guy?
But
like,
they were doing the same shots. They were doing the same vox pops and like pieces to camera that were in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. And I'm just like, it's just a fucking character in a video game.
But now it's like web news stuff, isn't it? And it's they got real. Didn't they get real YouTubers and stuff as well?
The cringiest thing was when fucking Ninja. I don't know if you're listening to this, you don't know who Ninja is. Ninja is the biggest Fortnite streamer, and he has obviously billions of views and millions of followers just playing Fortnite. That was probably the cringiest bit of the film. Because again, these two mediums, right? There's a difference between video game films, like say Tomb Raider. You got Uncharted coming out with Tom Holland.
Yeah.
There's a difference between that and films that try to understand video games.
Yeah.
And fuck me, is it so cringe when there's a cameo by someone who is such a minor celebrity, and it just and it being video games is just like the ultimate ball of cringe. Because he's not an actor.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have had like acting lessons. You can have cameos by athletes. You can have cameos by people who are like, again, like I said, minor celebrities, where you can kind of tell that because they're in a movie and they maybe have, yes, a cameo, but an actual small role. But this was just like Ninja giving his opinion on a blue shirt guy. And there's other people in there that I didn't recognize, but I do recognize. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like I can't put my name on them because they're such minor celebrities.
I didn't recognize any of the YouTubers, but I knew that they were real YouTubers.
Yeah,
that's the best way to describe it.
Because they were bad.
These were real people. These weren't actors playing YouTubers.
Yeah,
they were like the way they were in the film, the way they were positioned. I'm like, they're only. I don't know. There's only reason they are there is because afterward they were like, oh, they got real YouTubers, which my dad actually said to me as we came out. He went, I think they're real YouTubers. I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
No, it's not though, because honestly, there's only one thing that's worse than films trying to understand video games, and it's films trying to integrate YouTube.
Yeah, they don't get it.
It is just the worst thing.
Separate entity.
I feel like whenever that happens, and it almost happened, obviously, with them having Ninja and other YouTubers on, insert a video of the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, where they're just absolutely fucking melting. Because honestly, like, if I was sat down and said you have to watch Free Guy again, I'd beg them to take out those scenes. I'd watch the rest, but this bit is just too much. I'm just like, just insert the melting faces.
It was, to be honest, I was watching it, like, it was part of the story, but I'm like, I wasn't a big fan of that, to be honest. There's two parts that even before this discussion, well, I can feel myself slowly whittling away. I have no arguments anymore. My only argument now is I enjoyed it when I saw it.
I'm breaking it down.
You're literally breaking it. You're shattering it. But hey, it needs to be said. But no, there were two parts actually when I was watching the movie that I was like, that was a bit and that is that movie bit. And are we doing it in any order of this with this?
Nah.
No, fuck it. They do it really fucks me up because obviously it's Disney that make it. So they take very much like Ready Player One did. But to be honest, Ready Player One did it the way they did it. I enjoyed it to an aspect because there was enough difference in because you forget how much Warner Bros. Owns, or how much they can at least afford the rights for. But because they had some I think they had some Dragon Ball Z stuff over that. This was just Disney stuff, and it was that last fight where it's against the dude. So instead of the opposite, the guy's arch nemesis is the dude.
I mean, Ryan Reynolds
version of him.
Ryan Reynolds did look funny in a clone of himself and Dwayne the Rock Johnson suit.
Yeah,
I mean, some of the stuff that we saw before the film came out, to advertise the movie.
Yeah.
Now there's a key piece that I'm not sure who said this. Could be anyone. Could be Oscar Wilde. Could be, Plato. Could be anyone. But someone famous, and I'll paraphrase, said that if they're showing you clips that are not in the movie, say like a false interview with this character, the dude, and that's their advertising for the movie, it means the movie sucks.
Because that was a good advert. I figured that was some Ryan Reynolds marketing, but on hindsight now,
yeah.
So because the other side of that is Ryan Reynolds' marketing very much is not showing you the movie, and doing anything like that. So he has mastered that sort of thing. But in hindsight, they did.
So if they're not in a trailer, which should just be a trailer for a film.
Actually, because it was at the cinema,
Especially if it's a comedy.
Yeah.
If they're showing you something that isn't anything really that's in the film.
Oscar Wilde of Plato.
It means it's fucking dog shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this was kind of case in point.
But that scene, so the other scene is that scene where they're having the fight and he uses Hulk arm, Captain America shield.
See, I actually thought that was quite funny when they used Captain America's shield, and Chris Evans is
I
just
like that.
watching it on his phone, and he just goes, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, that was good.
I was expecting then, though, when Chris Evans said that line, for Ryan Reynolds to look into the camera and say "language," like from Age of Ultron.
But yeah, no, that was okay. Yeah, so that was a funny, but I mean, the whole thing as a whole, Hulk arm, Captain America shield, something else. Oh,
Might have been Mjolnir.
Does he use the Mjolnir?
I don't know.
A lightsaber.
Oh,
and it's also like they built. I remember the lightsaber coming out and being like, "Fuck's sake!"
Yeah.
But in the movie, it's like, "Is that a lightsaber?" Yeah, amazing. Like I was like, "Fuck's sake!"
that was when, right? Okay, that was when it went full Ready Player One for me.
Yeah,
it was that moment. Obviously, in between
I think
him.
I think Ready Player One done it better.
No, I mean,
With
like it's too much.
Yeah,
it's too much.
I was just like, yeah, they'd already lost me, and when they saw that, I was like, no, not a lightsaber. And then also the bit on that was like, and I suppose it's actually this. You know, I don't know. This plays into what you're saying. They're a bit outdated, stuff like that. A lot of the weapons and things he was using, like the portal gun from Portal, like that's old, man. I mean, I get it; it's still popular and people play it, and it's kind of got the relevance. But that is an old game. If that's your latest thing that you're showing from a video game, that's old.
We're going to have to retread a little bit similar ground to the last time that me and you were on a podcast talking about Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
And talking about how Easter eggs are now just trash.
Yeah.
Easter eggs in movies are just, like, you know...
No, we said it. They're not Easter eggs.
They're not Easter eggs.
They're not Easter eggs.
They're just shit happening.
I don't know. It's not even product placing, is it? I don't know what to call it.
I mean, a lot of it is product
So an Easter egg, you have to go find it. What could you call it? It's like,
what did we actually call it?
we called it something.
I feel like it was just like, I don't know, like shit coincidence or like I don't know.
We'll have to go back and listen.
Oh, God.
Go back and listen to Shang-Chi and tell us in the comments.
Yeah, and you know, Easter eggs have just turned into insert the meme of you know, have you seen Bird Box? You know the meme from Bird Box where the fucking guy from Pirates of the Caribbean is keeping that old woman's eyes open?
Yeah.
It's that meme. Easter eggs have become that meme where they're just like, look at the product, look at it.
Yeah.
There's
look,
like
we understand you.
Yeah,
portal gun.
Yeah.
Portal gun. Yeah. It's like, no.
We're like you now.
And then for the kids watching, Captain America shield and Hulk arm. You're like, oh.
There were so many things in this one, like you know, like Halo, Warthog, and Tank.
Yeah.
There were so many Easter eggs that I as soon as I saw them, the inner maybe like 16 to 18-year-old would have just been like, "Wow, cool." No more reaction than that.
Yeah.
No, not like hooping and hollering in the theater like an American. You know. Just kind of been like, huh, cool.
Oh, cool.
But now I'm like, I'm there and I'm hunched over in the cinema with a cigarette. I'm like, these fucking guys, honestly, just shaking my head, taking a real long puff of that cigarette, just like
drag.
These fuckers, man. These fucking pricks.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. I don't know. I feel like I still enjoyed the movie, but I'm agreeing. I haven't disagreed with anything you've said so far.
So,
on the whole, I did like the comedy. Right, it's a Ryan Reynolds movie, so it delivers on that premise. I feel like it does deliver on you've gone along for a Ryan Reynolds movie, and you do get that from it. But like I said, he very much carries the movie. Him and Taika Waititi is quite funny in it as well, but
I mean, I didn't find him funny at all. I thought it was terrible. So,
oh, really?
I thought it was probably his worst performance.
It's definitely
in any
his
film.
worst performance because he's definitely. I will give you that. I found him funny, but no, he's definitely his worst. I was first performance because I've seen him play a lot better.
He plays the woke CEO type, but has turned douchebag. Do you know what I mean?
Supposed to be a woke CEO?
No, you know, he's like the anti-CEO, where,
Yeah.
or
I
no,
see,
actually,
yeah.
wait, I'll redact that, and I'll say he's more uh, the explosive turned up to 11 version of, say, Mark Zuckerberg, where they,
Yeah.
they're just like wearing like, actually
Weird fashion.
not even like Mark Zuckerberg really, but the kind of like the offshoot of what Mark Zuckerberg created in terms of like people who head uh, software companies and California, Silicon Valley types.
Yeah.
It's again, it's kind of a real extreme of that, where they're
Yeah.
like wearing expensive Prada and Gucci
But like weird
and
fashion versions of
weird
it.
fashion
Yeah.
sense, hyped up on like probably like on drugs, but on like caffeine and basically just erratic humans.
Just
They're
got back
just
from a meeting where they're sorting out their chakra and shit.
yeah. I mean, it reminds me of the CEO of um. So there's a Black Mirror episode. I think it's the one with the bees.
Love
You
the
know,
bees.
again, before we diverge into um, that episode too much, nothing wrong with it. Social media's gone too far, and I feel like that episode,
Oh, we always refer to the bees.
the bees.
Anytime trolling or anything like that happen, it's literally like we just
Send in the bees.
send in the bees. 100%. We're
So
waiting for these bees to become a real invention. So everyone...
in that episode, Topher Grace, who plays Venom, in Spider-Man 3, he's like one of these hipster douchebag
Oh, I
CEOs.
can see that. Yeah.
And I think Taika
That's what
Waititi
it
is
is.
another extreme. It's just the extreme of that. He's on like a retreat. He can't be like contacted. And then Taika Waititi basically just continues his douchebag status of that kind of hippie.
hipster douchebag,
Yeah.
but incredibly corporate CEO.
Yeah,
Like,
somehow.
just money grabbing hipster douchebag.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah, like screw the people,
Yeah.
but like yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I feel like it's Hollywood not understanding. I mean, there probably are these archetypes, but not obviously dialed up as much.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's Hollywood, again, not understanding something.
The line between representation and an archetype, essentially. So
I know
there's a
they
way-
want to. I know they want to take it to an extreme to kind of.
It's a big movie. It's a
Yeah,
video game
yeah.
movie,
I know why they're
in your
making
face, yeah.
it. And I know why they're making these characters so, not larger than life, but so kind of
Big.
exaggerated.
Yeah.
But again, it just shows. I feel like it's just a fundamental misunderstanding of a type of person.
Yeah.
Rather than on one hand it's video games they don't understand, and on this hand it's software company CEOs they don't understand.
Yeah.
I know there'll be a lot of press that kind of gave them this idea because I don't know, the head of Twitter, the Twitter CEO, I can't remember his name. He's a fucking weird guy. Anyway, let's not get into social media. That's a massive black hole.
Black hole, yeah.
But it's Hollywood that just doesn't understand. So they're just like, just amp up every quality exponentially. He's a massive dirtbag. He doesn't care about anyone.
Yeah.
Also,
There's no character there.
no, it's all just like the only real way that I can describe his character is he's just like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
He's
it.
just a baddie. I like money, so I'm a baddie.
It's
And
also
like-
in that respect, I couldn't tell you one thing other than he has hipster douchebag dress sense.
yeah.
I couldn't tell you one thing about Taika Waititi's character other than that.
Yeah.
Other than he's
And hipster douchebag. Yeah.
That's not a character.
he's
That's just mulch.
It's what we were. It's what we were saying in Shang-Chi thing again. Dave has been let into it again. He's obviously working for Disney, not just Marvel. They've asked him for some ideas. He must be like the son of someone or something, but he has to come up with. His thing is to keep his job. He has to come up with a couple of ideas, regardless how terrible they are, and they have to put them in the movie. And it's this time they're like, Dave, we need you to come up with like a character for like we're giving you the antagonists, maybe hoping it will kind of prompt it with the importance of it. But like, oh, okay, so rather than sub character, the antagonist, yeah, okay, goes gets drunk that weekend, comes in on the Monday. Like, oh, so what you got for his name? Oh, like he's this big CEO, but like a hipster kind of guy. Okay, cool, yeah, and he wears like really like outrageous fashion and just sort of in your face, and he's just a bad guy and just wants money. Okay, but what's his character? What's his story? And he like he just what he like he he takes video games and he's just trying to screw people over and he's like really money grabbing. Okay, these are character, yeah, but what's his character name? Yeah, and he just it's that guy. It's that guy again. Yeah. It's that guy again. He wrote Shang-Chi's sister, and what was the other character? Oh, the masked warrior in Shang-Chi.
Oh yeah,
he's now wrote the antagonist in Free Guy.
Yeah, it's disappointing because it's a waste. It's a waste of Taika Waititi. I think
absolute waste of Taika Waititi because him and Ryan Reynolds in a movie should be magic. It should be magic just by them in it. Yeah. Because their influence on it, you can always tell that they maybe just showed up and done the acting rather than been that involved in it because it wasn't magic.
No, complete opposite.
Yeah.
The love story between Jodie Comer and Steve Harrington is probably one of the worst, even in comedies.
Possibly one of the most shoehorned. There's a slight reference towards it at the beginning if you watch it again. There's a tiny little kind of like hints of it. Not really, actually. No, there's no hints of it. It's made out like there is.
There's a one,
and then right at the end, it's like
shoehorned in.
But this is what's kind of frustrating now. I'm having these moments as we're having this podcast. By the way, I've not been dwelling on these. These are all happening right now.
In real time.
Minor existential crises during this podcast live. Right. So that bit about the way that bit was done, where it turns out like he says the line about they've done the whole like she fell in love with the guy who's actually an NPC, but they can never be together because he's not real, that sort of thing. But then it's revealed he's like, but don't you get it? Like someone wrote me. I was designed by someone. I'm a love letter to you. That could have been a really nice, cool, romantic premise. If by someone written in the right hands, it's a bit cheesy, but it actually could be a really, really good. And even at the time, I was like, oh, that's quite a good idea. But on hindsight, it just executed poorly, absolutely poorly. But it was a nice thing because it was like this is the romance, and then it's like, no, this isn't the romance. It can't be. But like that line, I'm a love letter to you. I thought that's brilliant. That's really good. There's nothing behind it. Nothing behind it at all.
And I'm just going to put this out there. So Guy, played by Ryan Reynolds, he sings "Fantasy" by Mariah Carey. That's like his favourite song.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of the movie, when Jodie Comer kind of comes around to the idea of Guy being something special, being something different.
Yeah.
So he basically goes and buys her favourite ice cream. And also they go and randomly swing on a swing set. Yeah. Again, that's kind of odd out of left field, but that's okay, whatever.
Yeah.
It is at that point
deep personality traits that aren't deep.
These very shallow personality traits that I would question as to who knows this about me. So if someone was exhibiting all of these traits, who is an AI, I'd be questioning who knows all of this about me.
So if you're someone who has designed AI so you know how it works.
I'm thinking that the realization that Steve Harrington is in love with Jodie Comer needed to be about 45 minutes earlier or like half an hour earlier in this movie. Yeah. Because if she didn't kind of get it then, she might be as thick as mud on a hill. Because if someone who knows this stuff about you, because You've spent years with them. You were making a video game with them. You spent so much
And I'm
time
probably
together.
the only person that knows this stuff about you.
Genuinely the only person who could know these 3 shallow things about you.
Your favourite ice cream flavour, which is, of course, an obscure one.
Obviously.
The swing set thing, which is like kind of deep but not.
No.
And the
Your
song
favourite
Fantasy,
song.
which is a really popular song.
I know. And you'd kind of be thinking, right, whoever wrote this like AI knows me and is like kind of deeply in love with me to do this.
Yeah.
This realization should have come when she was on the swing set.
Yeah.
When it got to the 3rd thing that you're supposed to know about her, and she knows that he works on the game and he works on the AI.
Yeah. That she's literally investigating their code.
Again, this should not be
she knows their code is in the game.
This should not be the big reveal of the movie. Honestly, like the fact that they had the audacity to try and sneak in a very You've Got Mail type romantic scene right at the end where it's like
they should have been hit by a car.
I was just like, he goes out to get coffee. The random side friend that Steve Harrington has, who's not bad but not good.
Yeah.
So
he was a bad guy, but then has a change of heart.
The end good?
Yeah.
So he's just like, you know who wrote that, right? And it's just like, it's like a South Park episode. Some parts, it's just, because
Except
it hasn't
done on purpose.
Yeah,
it's done in a serious context.
Even though it hasn't got like Trey Parker or Matt Stone's voice, like the trademark South Park random guy's voice. The writing is almost like that, where it's so bad that you're just like, I feel like they're taking the piss.
But it's like without the piss taking bit, it's like, no, this is a romantic.
And
comedy.
they decide to like shoehorn again this kind of faux romantic scene between Steve Harrington, who's just been looking at her lovingly since about halfway through the film. Even though at the end he was like, "Why the hell are you here? I've got like a restraining order."
Yeah.
I mean, has that just gone away because you're both trying to work to the same ends? Has it? No. All right, we'll just ignore that, shall we?
Yeah.
But yeah. Again, they have this.
And in that moment
reunion.
where they don't have to speak, he just knows that she's realised. You're like, oh my God. From across the street, I'd be like squinting, like, what's she doing? Why is she just staring at me?
Honestly, a normal human would be like, oh, did you want something different?
Like,
did you want a different coffee?
Did you want different? Yeah. Like, or when you run out in the road, like, don't run in the road. It's gonna get hit by a car. Okay.
Oh God.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
I wasn't a fan of that either.
That was just awful. Just again this I'm trying to pick into the giant mound of
even the guy we're talking about, the good bad guy kind of thing, very much sort of like as is playing, but also what's his name, the other Franco.
What?
Dave Franco.
Dave Franco's not in this, mate.
No. But that playing their the characters they kind of play.
Yeah.
But like, I recognised the guy. I did recognise him, but he's playing that kind of over the top douchebag kind of like.
Definitely playing the Dave Franco archetype.
Dave Franco, it's more, it's much more Dave Franco, yeah. But although he did remind me a little bit of, as is in Parks and Rec.
Right, okay.
A little bit of that. There's elements of that in it, but it's it's a huge Dave Franco sort of thing. Going, it's just that kind of like loud, over the top douchebag. Like, okay, but
trying to pick a nice kind of gold nugget out of the giant triceratops poo that is this movie. I feel like the CGI was pretty good. I know it's supposed to be in a video game.
Yeah.
Certain bits that, like I said before, where it's like they over exaggerate certain things that you would find in a video game that you just wouldn't these days.
Yeah.
But it's just the lack of understanding of what
that
it's
was
like.
one of them. I think that was the biggest problems. They should have really made it like Ready Player One technology, or made up that sort of level of technology.
Oh yeah, they definitely should have.
The players were interacting with the game is impossible if it was just a console.
A console,
game.
or a PC game.
impossible. I mean, not impossible. I'm sure there's
Nitpicky
people
as
that
fuck
get really,
for us, but
I know
I don't
people
care.
like things like Second Life and that exist. There's people that get really into their video games, but these were being presented as ordinary, everyday, average Joe people that don't get that kind of level of.
As someone who owns one, you could have just had them at home having a headset on, like an Oculus.
Yeah,
because
exactly,
we're almost there.
Oculus would have been more, but it wasn't even Oculus, was it? It was literally they
Just
shared
sit
a
at a
laptop.
computer.
They're sitting at a laptop, but I don't. It makes no sense. And if she's trying to disguise herself, why has she made a character that looks exactly like her?
God.
But with a British accent, and I get what they were like. They're trying to represent it. I don't. Yeah, it was a very, very bizarre. Yeah, there's a lot of plot holes.
That's what I was saying when I was talking about the border between sitting at the computer. At the beginning, I said about the border between sitting at the computer and then playing the game, and then what's happening in the game.
Yeah,
is never explained properly.
No.
So again, it's not. I know it's not a serious movie, but when it's like that, it's just kind of like your brain's just trying to
on screen
work it out, and I'm just like, this is just not how it works
on her screen. So I know why.
Yeah, on her screen, it's like third person,
real life sort of thing, and Ryan Reynolds to that because that's supposed to represent how he sees the world.
That's fine.
On her screen, he didn't look like Ryan. Or it looked like video game Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Which is, I know there was hot video game players and things like that, and obviously where it gets realistic stuff and the face scanning, it looks more and more like it. But the way they showed it, she would not have.
She would not have fallen in love with a fucking...
that kind of thing. He still looked like a video game. He didn't look like... There's video games that actually look a bit more realistic than it, but...
Honestly, mate, the fact that she falls in love with a video game character, I feel like was... And at that point in the movie, because that comes at like 2/3, maybe a little bit later in the film, that was when I was done. Because I was just like...
With the kiss.
I was just like, what? If you look at the game graphics and I'm just like, that just makes Jodie Comer's character a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
Like, and they just gloss over it.
I mean, sorry to those out there that are in love with video games, but they're not real.
It's just
there should be a line, guys.
It's just weird. It is weird, and
they're never like killing in a game and real life. There needs to be a line between loving in a game.
No, but they just, I know. Again, not to go back too far, but like we can understand if the games were as intense as like you're playing on an Oculus. Again, back to Black Mirror, the Anthony Mackie episode, where all right, let's not go too deep into that one too much, but at least you go in. Your whole consciousness goes in.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from first-hand experience using an Oculus,
it's close.
It's close. Like, so
Ready Player One with the suits that you can feel and stuff like that. That is an immersion of maybe you would start falling in love.
But
with
what I'm saying is like, there's a line between. It was just a poor choice by the writers, I think, not to just have it as a headset. And it doesn't have to be a full body suit. It can just be technology that we got right now. It would still be grounded in reality. You still don't have to go full Black Mirror, Ready Player One. But you just have to be like, oh, the reason why she's emotionally connected is because she can actually see with her own eyes this person. Or she can literally reach out with her hand and touch, like, because you know, in the games we've played, you know, your senses, the line gets blurred.
It does get a bit blurred.
But what they've done, they're just like, no, they're just you know, WoW nerds.
Yeah.
They're just WoW nerds.
They're just WoW nerds.
And I was just like, right, I don't think by just sitting at a computer, Jodie Comer would fall in love with a fucking pixel. It's just not going to happen.
No, there'll always be that line.
So for that reason,
we fancy game characters. We do not fall in love with them.
But you know, it was just, that was weird, and just I was kind of done by that point.
It'd be like going to it would be like watching a cartoon and falling in love with a cartoon. You don't fall in love with the cartoon.
No.
Sometimes you think they're hot, but you don't fall in love with them. Don't develop any real feelings. It's bizarre. Yeah.
It's from there it was kind of irreparable damage.
Yeah.
At the end, where he
But there's so many funny moments in it, or it's done glossed over so much with comedy, and Ryan Reynolds really there's enough of him in it that it carries it that I made it beginning to end not thinking it was that bad. It's all falling apart in my head now.
Yeah.
Like I had memories. I prepped myself for this. I was like, he's going to do it, but I've got to make sure at least I've got some grounds. If I do like it, I've got to make sure I hold it. So I was really thinking over the film over and over. I'm like, no, that should be fine. That should be fine. No, that should be fine. None of these scenes were in any of those clips in my head. It's all the bits I liked, obviously, and then I'm like, yeah, that was Ryan. And now as it's being said, I'm like, no, that was just because it was Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, that bit, that was a Ryan Reynolds scene.
I think they banked
that bit of the
on
movie
that.
I liked. Ryan Reynolds. Yeah.
They banked on it. They banked on you glossing over
everything.
Some absolutely terrible film.
Because like, Ryan Reynolds.
Some parts of an absolutely terrible film, and just because it's Ryan Reynolds.
More credit to him.
Yeah, fair
to be able to carry a film in that way. But yeah, it's literally it's like I had memories of it, and now the memories that I had are being replaced with the new memories where I'm just disliking them. He does this to me all the time.
Yeah, I'm just speaking from my own opinion, but I just.
He's not even trying to convince me. It just happens every time.
Who is thinking that this? Oh yeah, no, it's.
That's 2 movies now that have come out, done the approved thing, and now I'm gonna have to go back and
approved.
You know my thing where I come out and no,
don't stamp your approval on it until we finish the podcast.
Discussed you until let you see it and discussed it with you. Jesus.
No, and it's a little bit disappointing for Jodie Comer, who's a great actress.
Yeah, up and coming as well. Yeah,
and Steve Harrington, who is just, he's got the exact same hair as Steve Harrington.
Oh, they didn't even change his look.
Did they come straight from set from Stranger Things? He looks
like
series
the grown-up version of Steve.
Not even grown up. Literally, like I said, he's just
out
of college.
Young adult, yeah.
So,
yeah.
And that's disappointing. The Channing Tatum cameo was pretty good.
I liked that. He was good. I love Channing Tatum.
That's a nice little nugget of gold in this
turd. He does a nice little good bit at the beginning, and he does that bit in the middle as well. I did like that. That was good. And that action scene before that bit in his his car park, his parking garage or whatever like that, where she's in his
mansion.
That was very good. Very good scene. Very good. Not Matrix, but that kind of play on it, sort of it. Not Matrix.
There was
but it's that kind of combat and sort of. It was fun. It was fun scene. But yeah, it's slowly falling apart in my head.
I'm not quite sure.
Do you know what? I don't need any video game movies anymore either.
Don't need any. Ready Player One was enough terribleness.
What I don't need in these movies at all anymore is the one where you've got every other avatar seems to be based on the person playing it, but then you show me an avatar where it's just a 13-year-old kid and it cuts to the 13-year-old kid and they're shouting and swearing at every single one. Yeah. The only time I've seen it done well, and I don't think they actually confirm who it is in Endgame.
Yeah, that's true.
Where he
Korg
shouts down the bit the new is this guy? He'd be really mean to me.
I mean, that is the one thing that they did get right.
But they didn't cut to the kid. Maybe that's what it is. Don't cut to the 13-year-old on the other end. It's just boring now. It's a joke that was done. And it was funny when it was first done.
Yeah.
But that's
again
about
probably
10 years old. Yeah.
So, that's probably the one thing they did get right. That 13-year-old kids who are on online video games like Grand Theft Auto Online, they will not be using avatars or characters that look like them.
No, it's true, yeah.
Because, where's the fun in that?
No one uses an avatar that looks like, except me.
It's just, I'm just again, these things are just fundamentals of Hollywood just not knowing what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
With a film that's about video games.
Yeah.
And they'll never change.
And for video game world's going that way as well now, so it's
Ready Player One, mate. It was just I don't know. It it was so nostalgic for again the 80s version
Yeah.
of what video games are like.
80s, 90s kids. All the references were 80s, 90s.
Yeah. Whereas like the technology, it felt like there was like a gap in the whole of like culture of like video game culture where they just had no, you don't know what that is. So like you said, all of the references were like 80s, 90s, and then like the most recent was probably
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Halo. So
Well,
which was
is
the
Halo recent?
the most popular Halo was out in 2007.
Yeah.
But then like the film is set like not a lot in the future, but it's set in the future. So what cool stuff culture wise came out between that and then? There's probably Easter eggs of stuff that they've made up, and you're just supposed to be like, oh, this is probably what was in this between this time. And yeah, it's just Ready Player One was just again, I know a lot of people kind of like it.
I like it, and even after the conversation with you, I do like it. The main reason I like it, and it all stems from it, is this: I want it.
Fair enough.
It's not. I like the movie. I like the movie. We've had. There's. I mean, we could do a podcast on Ready Player One. To be honest, there's problems I've got with that.
Another time.
I want it, and Oculus is the closest to it. But I want that immersion. I've always wanted that immersion. I want this. I want everything about it. You go into like this oasis where it's just people, and then you go off and do your game, and it's like a living space sort of thing. Not to spend your whole life, obviously.
Yeah.
But to spend some time doing the things that you're just never going to be able to do in real life. That's why I don't bother with football games or COD or anything like that. Like, I know I've had to join the army or become a professional footballer, but I'd rather play a game where there is no chance this is ever happening. That's why I stick to sci-fi and fantasy, that sort of ones. But yeah, so that kind of level of emotion. That's why I like it so much. It's more like I want this to happen. When is this going to happen? And I get caught up in that a little bit. But
I can understand that because.
But Free Guy doesn't have that at all because it's just a normal console game.
They should have gone in that direction. I think it probably would have helped if they'd been like, look, the reason why a lot of people play is because it's a game that is so immersive and that you can do so many things like that. Yeah. And then like you can still have. Ryan Reynolds' character, understanding the world and like putting the sunglasses on, becoming Free Guy, blue shirt. You still have all of that, but then it's all like muddled because
the sunglasses thing. Before it jumps out that game, first of all, I kind of implied that there was going to be some sort of headset.
Yeah,
it's like they've set it up with the sunglasses. It's like, that's a play on that these people are putting headsets on.
That is true,
but no. No, it's just that they're just the sunglasses people. There's the NPCs and the sunglasses people. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the sunglasses can come off, and the NCCP... It's a video game, but the sunglasses can come off, and the NPC can put them on. There's no It can break programming whenever it wants.
Oh, you don't understand you don't understand how meshes and textures work, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Not to sound...
I don't care how AI you want to explain it.
Yeah.
As soon as a game breaks... any kind of like, or has to do anything a bit more difficult outside of its usual programming, it's just going to look like shit.
Yeah.
The graphics won't keep up.
I don't think they understand what like glitches are either, because like if something was to glitch, it would just fuck the whole game up.
Yeah, it's just exactly what it is. It's it's a bit.
It was on the nose with the it was on the nose with the whole corporations taking over video games stuff, and douchebag CEOs, and fucking, it was on the nose with everything.
Yeah,
it was on the nose with sequels, which I actually was just like, yeah, they nailed that, if I'm being honest, because except for Grand Theft Auto, which will be waiting another decade for a sequel. Like, games are just like prematurely bringing out sequels. For a lot of games, not all games, but a lot of games.
Even for the point they're making, it says kind of if Grand Theft Auto just keep adding to it. I don't mind that. I'll allow that.
No, definitely not. Well, it's been 8 years.
They just patch it, and
it's too late with that. Like, it's a game that's now old.
But they should,
and it's like worn out.
They should have the whole. Bring your character across, because there's people that are invested in it and they don't want to start again.
Yeah,
But
so I felt like that was
Yeah.
a decent point, but
yeah,
again, it's a comedy, so
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, there's no hilarity in that.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just you're just like, oh, they're making a sequel, and he's going to delete the world that Free
Well,
Guy and all the
yeah.
other characters are
That have
in.
now been established are almost living things because they
Yeah,
have a consciousness and they can choose and stuff like that. But
I mean the end where he makes it to Eden. I think it was called Eden,
I
wasn't
think
it?
something like that. Yeah.
I think it was called Eden, and
Let's call it
so on the
Eden.
nose. Oh my god. But yeah,
Eve.
where he makes it to the place that Jodie Comer has been looking for all this time to prove that they would use their code in this game that Taika Waititi made, and you know that's a quite good moment in the film.
As I say, the bit where he says about the love letter to you in that whole like, because it's, and again the reason it's good is because Ryan Reynolds is doing some of his acting rather than his comedy acting. It's a bit more an emotional scene for him, and he's doing that. He's just good at it. He does it good, and then she's obviously good as well, so it bounces off it. So on its own, as a little pocket, it's
Kind of
quite a
alright.
good scene. But the problem, the context around it,
Yeah, it's a bad movie.
yeah, it's a bad movie. It's not a great movie.
And yeah, I don't really.
Is there anything else to say?
No, that's it. I mean, I just thought, you know, when those credits were rolling, I thought, thank fuck, because now I'm Free Guy. Because I'm free to leave the theatre from this absolutely terrible movie.